This is Babcha. She's 103 years old and has been healthy all her life, and even was physically active, swimming and cycling well into her 90s. Is it just Babcha who has led a healthy centenarian life? There is evidence from different parts of the world where people have led a long, healthy life. People in Hunza in Pakistan are known to have lived till 150 plus years. We also have evidence from other blue zone areas like Japan and Sardinia. What makes Babcha and other centenarians like her healthier compared to their other counterparts? Why do some individuals live longer than others? This presentation is going to address three elements that scientists are exploring that may have allowed Babcha and others like her to age successfully. Yet, what is successful aging? It is the maintenance of physical and mental well-being, allowing for functional independence in the absence of chronic disease. The three elements are healthy eating behaviors, physical activity, and high executive functioning. Let's first look at how centenarians differ from their counterparts who do not live as long as them. Centenarians have a phenotype similar to that of calorie-restricted individuals. They have a relatively excellent metabolic profile characterized by glucose tolerance and insulin sensitivity. This helps them avoid age-related diseases. Centenarian metabolomic signature has enhanced cytochrome P450 enzyme activity, promoting anti-inflammatory compounds, making them biologically younger than their chronological age. Since centenarians have a rather changed phenotype compared to their counterparts, we can see that there's a link between genetics and environment. Centenarians, through their lifestyle choices, bring about polymorphisms in their genetics. Polymorphisms in genes and their associated pathways imparting pro-longevity effects include insulin-like growth factor 1, cholesterol ester transferase protein, and anti-inflammatory cytokines such as interleukin-10, RNA editing genes, and stress response genes such as heat shock protein 70 genes. Longevity-associated genes are postulated to be more conserved among long-lived species to promote lifespan and to be functionally enhanced based on conservation of DNA or protein sequence information. Let's look at the contribution of eating pattern to longevity. Japan remains one of the best examples of exceptional trends in increased longevity. Long-lived Okinawas consume a rainbow diet based on diverse fruits and vegetables. However, it's their nutritional behavior of hara hachi bu, eat until you're only 80% full, which contributes mostly to their longevity. By only eating to 80% of their full capacity, their total daily caloric intake is reduced, accounting for their low BMI. Long-term caloric restriction influences biological parameters which are altered with aging, resulting in a reduction in serum cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein, triglycerides, fasting glucose, along with others, and an increase in high-density lipoprotein. Also, a caloric restriction changes lipid membrane bilayer as a result of reduced peroxidizability. Lastly, a caloric restriction promotes longevity through the induction of endothelial nitric oxide synthase expression, mitochondrial biogenesis, and ATP production. Longevity of men in Awada, Sardinia is attributed to their consumption of small proportion meals comprising of a balanced distribution of nutrients, preventing lifestyle-related diseases. Telomeres are a region of repetitive nucleotide sequences at each end of a chromosome that stabilizes the chromosome from deterioration. Telomere length is a biomarker of aging, with shorter telomeres linked to a shorter lifespan. Interindividuality in telomere length is heritable but modifiable. Thus, it is important to identify which factors affect telomere length and promote health and longevity. Dietary components associated with oxidative stress and inflammation influence telomeres. The mechanism involved could be related to deleterious action by hydroxyl radicals, which cause DNA damage. Insulin resistance also affects telomeres. Physical activity is defined as any situation employing the skeletal muscles, accompanied by an increase in energy expenditure compared with the resting state. Regular physical activity is associated with 30% reduction in cardiovascular mortality risk. This risk reduction contributes to years of additional life. There's a dose-response relationship between physical activity and longevity. Larger training volume, that is increased duration, and higher intensity is associated with greater mortality benefits. Thus, ex-endurance athletes have been seen to have improved longevity. In Japanese Nakenjo study among elderly individuals, overall health and year average steps were observed. The threshold for improved physical health was found to be greater than 8,000 steps a day, and it was found to be greater than 4,000 steps for better mental health. Regular physical activity reduces risk of cardiovascular disease along with stroke, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, obesity, cancer, anxiety, and depression. Exercise also reduces risk of falls and injuries from falls. It is also crucial in management of chronic pain. Some positive effects of exercise on aging process include reduction in systemic inflammation, increase in HDL cholesterol concentrations, reduction in triacylglycerides and LDL cholesterol, reduction in blood pressure, reduction in body fat mass, reduction in insulin resistance, and improvement in glucose metabolism. One of the most important benefits of exercise is improvement in maximal oxygen uptake, VO2 max. Since VO2 max is the greatest predictor of health status in older people, and it declines with aging, a value of 15 to 18 milliliter per kg per minute is required to maintain instrumental activities of daily living. Exercising also improves muscle mass and strength, which improves quality of life and independent activities of daily living. It improves bone mineral density, chromosomal function, and cognitive function. Let's talk about executive functioning and its effect on longevity. There is growing evidence to suggest that resiliency, or the ability to adequately respond to or resist various stressors, plays a key role in successful aging. Executive functions are useful to organize our thoughts in the face of distraction, complexity, and stress. Unfortunately, they can degrade rapidly under stress and pressure. The brain areas associated with thinking skills that make up executive functions are located in the prefrontal cortex. The neural circuits that support these skills involve the cingulate cortex, parietal cortex, and subcortical structures, primarily the basal ganglia, amygdala, and hippocampus. Brain areas that are interconnected with the prefrontal cortex and make up the neural networks supporting executive functions are part of the brain's limbic system, particularly the amygdala. Rapid and automatic signaling from the limbic brain to the prefrontal cortex helps direct our attention and thinking skills to things that are meaningful to us and away from less meaningful things. The interconnected limbic to prefrontal cortex circuitry functions as a feedback loop. As the prefrontal cortex receives input from the limbic brain, it feedbacks to the limbic brain to modulate its input signaling in the form of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, norepinephrine, and glucocorticoid hormone cortisol that modulate neural activity in the prefrontal cortex. A higher than normal increase in neurotransmitters indicates that the person is in stress. Stress is related to health problems that have inflammation-related etiology. High inflammatory activity is associated with cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and is indexed by inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein, fibrinogen, pro-inflammatory cytokines, interleukins, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. If we look at Babcha's life, we can see that she led a healthy life, had controlled portions, eating a variety of fruits and vegetables while consuming everything else in moderation. She was physically active all her life. She participated in World War II, which gives an indication of her muscle strength. Had 5 kids and kept physically active, swimming and cycling till 90. To be part of World War II and raising a family after the war shows she had high executive functioning skills and was able to deal with the stress. As discussed earlier, all these factors help in aging successfully. Thus, Babcha and others around the world who have implemented these 3 elements in their lives have successfully lived longer than their counterparts. Moreover, as longevity is attributed to a combination of genes and environment, these centenarians like Babcha have an edge over others since they successfully change their epigenome through their lifestyle.